Eyes on. The Okomu Kingdom and all other Ijaw-speaking kingdoms of Edo State are peace-loving people. We are peace-loving. We are not at war with anybody, but don't dare us. We are peace-loving people by their law-abiding disposition, which, with regards to the rule of law, knowing the importance of peaceful coexistence with their neighbors, our reputation of the false claims and expansion tendencies of the Oba of Benin and the Benin Kingdom should not be seen as joining issues over what ordinarily could have been termed frivolities of twisted minds, or dignifying a roguish and bullish attempt to falsify, subjugate, and culturally appropriate ownership of our land, since the historical truth of our aboriginal status is a well-documented and settled issue. Documented, settled issue. Lies often repeated over time without being countered by the unyielding truth assumes a monstrous life of its own, but tend to occupy a short space in the cultural, social, and political fabric of a nation and become a morass with sometimes devastating consequences. The Ijaws of Edo State were in the land you presently claim as yours. You were settled by the Ijaws at a village called Udo. Your first settlement. Presently still called same. The name has not changed. We witnessed the invitation you extended to the Oni of Ife to bring one of his sons by name Oramia to settle the internal crisis that engulfed the entire environment due to the influx of the BENINS to our land. The original name of the land presently called Benin is Adobo or Igodomigodo, meaning the key to the kingdom in Ijaw language. Oramia, in anger after failed attempts to reconcile the aborigines and the Ife settlers at Udo, village called the land Ile Ibinu, before his departure back to Ile Ife. The Ijaws of Okomu, Olediama, Egbema, Fropa, and Baran clans of Edo State are not quick to forget about the relationship that has existed between the Benin Kingdom and the ancestral home of Ile Ife. This was evidenced by the practice of the Benin people of Edo State taking the bodies of their late Obas back to Ile Ife for burial. Is it a lie? No. The word Ikimu, corrupted by the British to Okomu, is an Ijaw word meaning the roots. Regrettable to state that with the huge economic contribution from the natural resources, the Okomu Kingdom is natural resources of the Okomu Kingdom to the coffers of the Edo State government. The latter has not found it fit to locate basic infrastructures in Okomu land. It will surprise the general public to note that the most token of government responsibility, education, is completely absent. As there are no primary and secondary schools, there is no link road to the outside world in Okomu Kingdom. My pressman, let me tell you, we have just on our own organized a secondary school. We hire teachers. We pay from our purse to teach our students so that we will not remain illiterate. Where else has this happened in Nigeria as a whole? But as Okomu peace-loving people, they take us for right. They take us for granted. They want to cage us educationally. They want to cage us politically. They want to cage us economically. And they want to cage our future, which we are saying no. Eyes up! Yeah. We are saying no to this. This is the cruise of this press conference. Very close to us. Odigi, very close to us. Small villages, not more than 40 houses. They have their own king. Then why must that of the Ijaws of Okomu Olodiama be a different thing? That they want to strangulate us and just to call dog a bad name to hang it. But history will tell. At this junction, it is important to note that the Perez, kings of the Ijaw nation, are neither elected nor by inheritance, but through divine selection by the national gods of the Ijaw nation. They are both spiritual and political in their sovereign dispensation. That is why when a king in Ijaw land pronounces a curse on you, you are cursed. Unfortunately, through the economic and political marginalization of the Ijaws, there is an attempt to demean our monarchs and deny us our aboriginal rights of ownership. We are ready to defend with the last drop of our blood our kingdoms and our kings. Okomu Kingdom in Edo State, like all the other Ijaw kingdoms in the state, has suffered serious political marginalization. Successive governments of Edo State and the Oba of Benin have orchestrated clandestine moves to legislate on traditional institutions matters with a view to subjugate and to coerce the Ijaw cunningly and forcefully, and thereby reducing them into second-class citizens through the enactments of laws that are obnoxious and negate democratic and plural society. The Ijaws in Edo State are balkanized into different wards. For instance, where there are large Ijaw communities and population, they are deliberately broken down into smaller units and merged with Benin-speaking constituents to prevent them from producing their own representatives. That will stop. This should be noted. We are not at all at war with them. But don't dare us. Don't push us to the wall. This barbaric act cannot happen in this era of civilization. It is an abomination to our ancestors, to we the living, and to even our future unborn children. 5, that the state, federal government, and all relevant security agencies should prevail on the Oba of Benin, Oba Ewuare II, to stop his attack and that of his subjects and agents against Okomu, Ikoro, and all other Ijaw communities of Edo State. Number 6, that the Oba Ewuare II should acquaint himself properly with the correct historical facts on the true relationship between the Ijaws and the BENINS during the pre-colonial and colonial era before making an ill-motivated expansion moves. Number 7, Okomu Kingdom holds the following companies, namely Okomu Oil Palm Company PLC, Okomu National Park Services, Ose Rubber Estate Limited. In the light of the foregoing, we hereby, on behalf of the Traditional Council of Okomu Kingdom, under the watch of the Kalaswo in Council, enjoin both the Edo and the federal federal government of Nigeria to accord the Ijaws of Edo State their economic and political freedom. In the Bible, God commanded Pharaoh to allow the Israelites to have their freedom, which Pharaoh refused because God had hardened his heart for an unforeseen consequence. All entreaties to persuade Pharaoh to listen to God Almighty and the voice of reason fell on deaf ears. Nevertheless, the freedom of the Israelites came without any price paid for it because of their long years of slavery. The Edo State government and the Oba of Benin should let the Ijaws of Edo State to have their God-given and inheritance to have their freedom, which Pharaoh refused. And the federal enjoined both the Edo State and the federal government of Nigeria to accord the Ijaws of Edo State their economic and political freedom. In the Bible, God commanded Pharaoh to allow the Israelites to have their freedom, which Pharaoh refused because God had hardened his heart for an unforeseen consequence. All entreaties to persuade all entreaties to persuade Pharaoh to listen to God Almighty and the voice of reason fell on deaf ears. Nevertheless, the freedom of the Israelites came without any price paid for it because of their long years of slavery. The Edo State government and the Oba of Benin should let the Ijos of Edo State to have their God-given and inherent rights, economic and political freedom. Thanks and God bless.
So emphatically clear that the Ijos in Edo State are not at war with the BENINS.
Express the solidarity of the entire Ijon nation from Akwa Ibom State to Ondo State with the Ijon people of Edo State. All that has been said here, we affirm it in totality. The Ijon people are not settlers in Edo State. The Ijon people are indigenous and owners of the lands that they occupy in Edo State. So we are in total solidarity with them. And let me also make this point, that any threat or attack on Ijon people in Edo State is an attack on the entire Ijon nation in Nigeria. And more importantly, let me also emphasize the point, as a lawyer of more than 10 years standing, a lot of you have been emphasizing the court judgment. I have read the judgment that you are referring to between two individuals in Gelegele and Ogboton. That judgment has nothing, let me emphasize, very important, that judgment has nothing to do with the entirety of the land that is owned by the Ijon people of Edo State. You cannot use a land dispute between two individuals from two communities to rob the entire nation. It's ridiculous. Even if there is a dispute over a parcel of land in this community, you cannot say that because of that dispute, the entirety of this community is owned by the Benin people. So that judgment has no relevance to the issue at stake. So we want to warn and advise the government of Edo State to behave like a government and not an extension of the Oba Palace.
1112 to 1119, Ogiso Obioye, 1119 to 1121, Mozeke 5, we have Ogiso Ere. The brief history of Igbodo from 9th century to 11th century is very simple. Igbodo was established by Ogiso Igbodo by 9th century, and between 9th century and 11th century, many Ogisos were produced. The kingdom was at peace. That is the truth. In their seniority, in their chronological order, we have Ogiso Igbodo, who ruled from 900th century to 925. We have Ogiso Ere, 925 to 960. And we have Ogiso Orire, 960 to 1000. And we have Ogiso Odia, who also ruled from 1000 to 1001. We have Ogiso Irido, 1001 to 1002. We have Ogiso Ewu from 1002 to 1005. We have Ogiso Igbaide, who ruled from year 1005 Emehe, 1005 to 1009. We have Ogiso Ahuahua, 1009 to 1011. We have Ogiso Ekbigo, 1011. Now, as you will understand,
that was during the. It is better for the fight now. His brother died without a child. The Benin now embraced him to say, come and rule us. Because they were not having the belief that that monster may have died. Peradventure, the monster reappeared. Knowing fully well the way he drove it out or killed it before, will be able to do it again. So that was the beginning of Evian Red. And Evian then had 3 children, which is Uzama, Erebo, and Olia. 3 children. In the very old age of Evian, told you now that Evian came into power in 1130. Evian was in the government for 1130 to 1170, 40 good years. His reign was very peaceful. Why he was very old now from nowhere, Oromiyan came to Benin with some troops. There was now an attack. So Evian's son, Erebo, took his brother Olia and soldier main troops then to go and conquer them. To say, there is no way you can bring in somebody when our father is still on throne. And besides, this is Benin. There is nothing like Oba Ewuare. That is where the names came in. There is no Oba in Benin. What we have here is Ogiso. So Ewuare, we don't have an Oba. So the fight now was on. And Oromiyan, after staying for a really long time, actually now he could not govern the Benin. He now came out to say he was going back. There is no way a foreigner can rule in this place. Only a child, peradventure born here, can rule the place. He now went back. And as he was going back, he stopped at a go. He was there with his men, and during the stay there, he now had an affair with the daughter of Ogiego. This is Ogiego and the wife. They have a daughter called Einide, which was impregnated by Oromiyan. Oromiyan gave birth to Eweka. Eweka also continued the fight, the struggle, when he grew up. But before then, 1170 to 1200 AD, that Oromiyan and Eweka grew up, Ogiso Rebo was on the throne. His reign was also very peaceful. Then the BENINS were now joining Eweka to fight the war. Then Rebo now told them, look, you people are making a mistake. This is Benin. It is better for you to join us to fight this war, because we don't know where you are bringing an Oba from. Towards then, the BENINS now begin to nickname him Ogiamie, which is today called Ogiamie. Otherwise, he, Ogiso Erebo, was the last Ogiso. So the name Ogiamie now took over. So today we have Ogiamie. And the fight actually continued until there was now an agreement, memorandum of understanding, which today we call a Kyokpaga Treaty. Understanding because people were dying from the two sides. Now to put end to each, they now came and said, please, we only came to help people to repair Benin. They do say we don't know how to repair Benin, but in an attempt to do this, they now decided to write an undertaking with us, which is called a Kyokpaga Treaty. And as at that time, it was a tough battle. The only at that time was, his name is Ode, that went to that battle with his brother. As that war lasted, there is an adage in Benin that says, you have not gone to a Kyokpaga. The Olia of Ogiamie, they killed him. And during that process, when the way we are now going, when the brothers, the adults at home, when they had the war was tough, that the Olia of Ogiamie was killed, there was a big uproar in Benin. When they were now looking for their brother, this is where the first one came. They said, Iwe ma ude dewu, Iwe ma ude dewu, Iwe ma ude dewu, They were now looking for his brother Ogiamie. That was during the treating that started around that time. It was the first treating that made this Olia died. For God being on our side, as at that time, that Olia has already have a child that came into his father's stew after the burial. So in that process, this picture you are seeing here is a part of the symbol of the Ekiopaga Treaty that took place in 1979 between Osarabo, Okonga Ogiamie, and Oba Ewuare. This is Osarabo here. This was Osarabo here. This is Ewuare of 1979.
Traditionally, the Ekiopaga Treaty was when the Ogiamie Erebo leased a particular section of the Igodomigodo to Oba Ewuare. In doing that, there was a formal agreement. So the provision of that agreement is called Ekiopaga Treaty, because it was finally signed at Ekiopaga. Now, as you will understand, a treaty olden days was signed between nations. Treaties were not an agreement by party business. A treaty was signed between nations. By 9th century, when Igodomigodo was existing as a country of its own, as Tohinga explained, after series of peacemaking effort, now a treaty were not to be signed between the invading forces that came from Ile-Ife and the Igodomigodo people. That's how the treaty came about. So that tells you that Igodomigodo was a nation as at that time. Another nation came to fight Igodomigodo. So in an attempt to make peace, so this treaty became necessary. Now let me give you the provision of the treaty. Now the content of the Ekiopaga Treaty is this. Number one, that Igodomigodo land, which with the Ekiopaga Treaty, with the Ekiopaga at the demarcation line, was divided into two equal parts. With the Ogiamie Erebo reportedly said, "I sell half of this land to you," putting sword into the locked palms of Oba Ewuare the first and himself. "I do not sell the land to you finally. It shall be yours throughout your reign. But your children shall in future buy this land again from me in the same way you have done." 2. That Ogiamie's warriors and the Oba's warriors will not, during their traditional raids on market, confiscate either family's goods. Number 3. That certain thatch called Ewuare in Benin will be used in roofing all the houses built on the Oba's half of Igodomigodo land, while a Benin thatch leaf will be used on houses on Ogiamie's half. 4. That the family of the Ogiamie and the Oba will not intermarry. 5. That the Ogiamie will pay to the Ogiamie as each of his succeeding sons will do in future the following purchase fees: 4 persons, including a woman, a large drum called the Oha, and Ugiame, which was the equivalent of 6 shillings and 6 pence in British currency, a flute, that is Oru, a cow and Uhure, staff, Agba, and Ere. 6. That none of the Ogiamie's children can be used as chief of the Oba, and that they cannot kneel down to greet the Oba of Benin. 7. That there should be cordial relationship between the Ogiamie of Utantan Kingdom, Igodomigodo land, and the Oba of Benin Kingdom. 8. That the Oba of Benin would sometimes visit the Ogiamie in his palace through the door called Uruaimi.
This is the special door we were talking about, which is by the name in Benin is called Uruaimi, which normally free for Oba of Benin to visit Ogiamie. The door is just about 4 feet height, and then when it's getting inside, you must have to bow down for the king. You can see the inside now. That place is more higher. Then when it's getting here, when it's going to go out, that's where he bow down. Ogiamie is here to receive him. Then before they go into whatever any matter that
they have discussion, they want to discuss about the two kingdoms.
I just said earlier, this is the only palace in Benin. This one came in the time of the Ogisos, so it's the oldest palace in Benin. It survived the British invasion.
That number 3 is very, very important. If you enter Igodomigodo at that time, you will see this thing very clearly, the demarcation very clearly. You will see the houses built in the Oba side with their own particular type of leaf. And you come to the Ogiametu, the same different type of leaf. So then it was very easy to see the demarcation. We did not divide Benin today. That treaty divided Benin. But unfortunately, Igodomigodo. But unfortunately, you know, due to civilization, we now have asbestos, zinc, and so many things like that, different type of zinc. Now that has changed the nomenclature. Now you cannot differentiate between Igodomigodo, the Otantan kingdom, and the Benin kingdom. So that particular section is very important. Number 4 of that treaty says that the family of the Ugame and the Oba will not intermarry. As I talk to you, that law up to today is still standing, even though some other laws have been overtaken by civilization. But this very one is still very sacrosanct. There was a case of what happened during the time of Oba Ewuare, Oba Ewuare II, who mistakenly married one of our daughters. As soon as our daughter entered into his palace, the lady started menstruating. The Oba Ewuare II could not make love with her because she was not clean. So after so many months, Oba Ewuare now called her, asked her, "Who are you? Where are you from?" She now introduced herself to Oba and told her that she's from Ugame family. Oba Ewuare now said, "No wonder." Now this is a picture of the lady when yes, she's still alive as I'm talking to you. She's still alive as I'm talking to you now. So Oba Ewuare now asked that she should be returned to her family that very night. And after she was returned to the family, she got married immediately, and that issue of blood stopped. As I've talked to you now, she had many children, a lot of them in America. She's in Benin City here. If you need further details, we can even take you to her. This is when our current Ugame went to visit her, when she was the chairman of the planning committee of the family. These are some of the other pictures that those who accompany to see the woman. These are the pictures of family that went to. The woman is still alive as I'm talking to you now. And this is the last one.
See, actually, when you look at them, they are look alike. Why we can easily identify them? When they are bringing it, you see this one with this now. You see this one is a bit higher. You see this one is a bit higher. Now this is for Oba Ewuare II. And again, this is for Ewuare II.
Come this side.
It depends on how we tell them to do it so that it can easily be identified in future. You see, this one is high again. The family has tried to tell them, so bring it down so that it can easily be identified when you are saying it. Just exactly the pictures behind you, so they are all those were from the past Obas that you can see they are tall. But there's a time the family will now decide say that it's too tall, let them be reducing it. That is how you see it like this, you see it like this, you see it like this. We can decide to tell them, we can decide to reduce it to certain from here. We'll be going down again until it goes up again. This is for Oba Ewuare II. This is for Erediawa. But the true picture of this is that when you look at here now, this symbol here tells on actually the women they brought. As at that time, when you bring a woman, the Ogiso or the Ugame will give that women to their respective children to marry. They just dash them, we give it to them to marry. The men, they can give it to somebody to go to farm with him. That is why you see this one is standard, but they don't see any person, they give out now. They now have to replace it with this one, a woman, and is kneeling down to serve his husband. This is the symbol. This staff of office, which we call Lokore, was being brought by Oba Ewuare II about 170 years ago, 103 years ago. why this Akanzwa, Oba Akanzwa II, he brought this one about 84 years ago. When this one was brought by Oba Ewuare in 1979, while in my old time, he brought this Okure and this another. That is what he brought in 1979 with a cow. When you get to Evia Palace just now, you will still see the head of the cow and the skin they remove. It's still there intact. Before I installed the missing Osarobo Okwonga Ogiamie in 1979, they are not the Ekopara treating with Oba Ewuare. After that time,
See this photograph.
so this photograph you are seeing here,
Nigerian Observer.
this photograph you are seeing is Nigerian Observer, where you can see Osarobo, Oba Ewuare
Oba Ewuare versus Ogiamie in a mock battle.
in 1979. Yes, Matthew Ebana. So yes, okay. This Observer you are seeing is the mock battle between Oba Ewuare and Osarobo Okwonga Ogiamie in 1979 in Ekiopala.
Exactly. Yes. Good. Now to support him. Now this Ada and Ebedai, this Abba and Eben, they were the symbol which Oba Ewuare. If you look at the Oba Benin letterhead, the Traditional Council letterhead, this is their symbol of authority which we gave to them. All their letterhead, you see this to their letterhead. Without this, that's why we say that there can never be Oba without Ogiamie.
That's how it is.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Our own symbol was given to us by the British.
By the British.
This is the authority
we gave to them. That's what they put in their letterhead. Now, okay, the British gave us our symbol as a distinct coat of arms, as a distinct traditional law of Igodomigodo. Nobody gave to us. So you can see the difference. You can see the difference. Document does not tell lies. Picture does not tell lies. There's no family in Benin that has this coat of arms. The British government gave it to us. The Oba don't have it.
It's in the museum.
It's even the museum. His Imperial Majesty, Rick Arisco Osame JP, Ogiamie Asukan Benin. The man who has come to liberate us, the Savior, the great man with the lion heart, the man many believe to be a reincarnation of Ogiamie Iribo, is what we are looking at now, what we are seeing now. Ogiamie Atope! Ogiamie Atope!
So, as I've said earlier in my introduction, my function in this family, I play a role of administrative head in this Ogiamie family. And in 1979, I installed Osarobo Okwonga Ogiamie, as I've said earlier. And in 2015, September 9, I did the same installation of Imperial Majesty, Rich Arisco Osame JP, the Ogiamie of Utata, Benin. And immediately after the installation, about a week thereafter, this struggle continued. He was arrested. I myself was arrested. I installed the missing Ogiamie chief. Ogiamie Osarobo Okwonga, I installed him.
I installed the present one now, the Imperial Majesty, Rich Arisco, Senegal JP, the Ogami of Utata, as today.
Roll call of Ogami is as follows. Ogami is 1170 to 1200 AD. Ogami will be 1200 to 1250 AD. Ogami will be 1250 to 1330 AD. Ogami is Mahosa. Ogami and Jose. Malaya, Eyagia Panigogo. Osaya More Noga, Wagia Wena, Odani Malaya, Eyagia Panigogo. Usaya Mega, Eyagia Panigogo. Odani Malaya, Eyagia Panigogo. Uala Uselu, Eyagia Mano. Odani Malaya, Eyagia Panigogo. Uala Weru, say Eyagia Pierre. Odani Malaya, Eyagia Panigogo. Okaba Viye Kaba, Eyagia Panigogo. Odani Malaya, Eyagia Panigogo. Uasokaso, Eyagia Panigogo. And here today, he is the current Ogami of Utata, Benin. He is the Imperial Majesty, Rich Aristo, Senegal JP, 2015 today. Ogami Apapae, direct sons of Obiso Edian that ruled Igoromigodo from 1130 to 1140. On the far right of Ogami Arisco is High Priest Joseph Ameguvi Uzama. He represents the first son of Edian, Obiso Edian, while Ogami Arisco represents the second son of Obiso Edian, and Chipolia represent the third son of the American. Make the three gentlemen.
I am High Chief, High Priest Amegbibie Joseph Uzama, the current Ohenvia of Untatan Benin Nation. I came into office 20th of January 2013. Presently, the President of India.
At the center is His Imperial Majesty, Rich Arisco Senegal JP, the current 24th Ogami of Utata Benin.
Chief Patrick Osaboyole Adeole of Utata Benin.
Obiso Arigo had two children, Obiso Owodo and Obiso Evian. Now, when Obiso Arigo ruled and died, it was given to his first son, which is Obiso Owodo. Now, when Obiso Owodo ruled and died without a child, his younger brother, which is Obiso Evian, took over the reign of Igoromigodo. Now, in the time of Obiso Evian, they have three children, Uzama, Irebo, and Ode. Gentlemen, I'm presenting today the three children that are representing Evian dynasty. The Uzama, the Ogami, which is not today Ogami, it was Irebo, and then we have the Ode. Now, one thing that is interesting about these three gentlemen is that the Ohebia is in charge of Yekoba. As I talk to you, from 11th century to date, Ohebia is in charge of Yekoba. The Oba of Benin does not send an Enogi to Yekoba. That's part of the treaty. So Ebia was in charge of Igoromigodo. Like Ogami Arisco always says, Obiso Ebia was the first king to introduce will, definitely will, that the sharing of will when the man is about to die. Because it was in his reign that he divided Igoromigodo into three again with his children. He gave the Yekoba to Uzama, he gave the Obiso Act to Irebo, and gave the Olia Porters to Ode. That is how it has been up to today. Now, the Olia installed, he is the administrator between the Uzam, the Ohebian, and the Ogami. He installed the three, the two of them. So this is what we made our forefathers left us. We are not introducing anything new. We are not. So what we are seeing today is the Son Indian dynasty. During the invasion, when the Ile-Ife people came to invade Benin, there was genocide. They killed a lot of our people. In the process, a lot of our children fled Igoromigodo. That process is referred to as a mass exodus because the killings was really so much. Some of our children ran through the Benin North and established what today know as the Ishan, the Afema, the Ora, and so on and so forth, up to Kogi and Kwara. A lot of them are our children. That's on Benin North. Then on Benin East too, a lot of them also ran through Ibanke, Umunede, Seluku, Asaba, up to half of Onitsha. As I talk to you now, the whole of Benin East up to Onitsha, they are our children. Then we come to Benin South, which is now Niger Delta. Our children too also ran through like that. To worry the Urobos, the Shekiris, the Isoko, the Queries, the Ogbas, the Ekpeye, a lot of them in Niger Delta, they are all our children. Those that ran through the east, they ran through the river. Because no olden days, without water you can't survive. So what they do as they are running the sea water, they pass through the water like that. Then again, olden days too, a lot of them were afraid of wild animals in the sea. So when they get to where there's water, they can move, assuming the water is here, they can move and settle at New Benin because they believe that some animals could come to attack them. But they have already seen water where they can come and fetch water to drink. Then to distance was nothing. There was no motor. So it was not difficult moving to trek. So those that ran to Benin North, they ran through Ikoba River, and that river also somewhere broke to the north, to Auchi side, to Jeduma and the rest. Then the same Benin is that Ikoba River also has a link up to Seluku, Munede, up to Niger, to River Niger. That's how those that left in the north passed through Ikoba River. Then those that fled through the south, they reached the Orogo River because the people of Niger Delta, they are interested. They want to know where their fathers came. How did their fathers cross the River Niger? That's the problem most of them are asking themselves over there. But they didn't know that there was a brook, which is in Ikoba River here, that has a link to all those major rivers. So as they enter the Ikoba River, they can move, you understand? So those are the two major links.
My name is Mike. You want to know where the river lead to? It lead to different dimensions. The first one is when you get to Ajoki, that one lead to Lagos Road. And when you get to Ajamuga, the second one, that's Ajamuga Road, that one lead to Port Harcourt.
Is there anyone that leads to Bayelsa?
Bayelsa. It's the same way, because when you get to there, that one that get to that Bayelsa through excavers.
Okay, and yeah. You are what do you call yourself? What do you do? Marine officer.
I'm an army officer.
Marine officer.
Marine officer. I work in this sea for 5 years now.
Okay, you've been working for this sea for 5 years. So many of our children stopped bearing Ogiame name because they were persecuting us. In the ministry, they won't let us go. They would just pull us out. That was very severe. That is the area of persecution. Then the area of use of government machineries, of course, that started when Oba Ewuare, he started it particularly. Immediately he was installed as Oba of Benin. What he did now was to connive with an administrator, a military administrator, and secretly repeal the decree, the edict, which recognized Ogiame as a traditional ruler. So, this is the edict. This is the edict with which Ogiame was recognized as a distinct traditional ruler in 1968. It is called Edict MSLN 37 of 1968. That is the edict. Now, that is the place that concerns Ogiame in that edict. Now, by this edict, Ogiame is a distinct traditional ruler from the Oba of Benin. So what Oba Ewuare did for fear, because it's not comfortable, so what he did was to secretly repeal it without letting us know. That is the cause of the problem we're having in the Benin Kingdom, we're having now with them. The problem between the Oba of Benin and Ogiame is this repeal edict, which they didn't tell us, without calling those involved, without telling them while you are repealing it, there must be a memorandum call. There must be a public gathering. We don't just repeal an edict signed into law. Edict is not something signed by one piece. It's a government document, internationally recognized instrument. You just went behind with the assistance of a military administrator, repeal it without telling us. That is the cause of the Cold War between the Oba Palace and the Ugame Palace as of now. Many people are asking this question. It's very, very interesting. What actually happened was that after Igbodomikodo was divided, it has been broken into two with Benin Kingdom and Utanta. You know war strategy. The Ilefe people came and weakened the Ogiso, and all the children of the Ogiso have fled. The strong children have fled. So leaving Ogame alone, and you know, olden days it was a farm. The greatest industry there was farming, nothing like government work. So the Ogame will be going to farm. He has so many wives and children, so he needed to feed his children by going to farm. Now the Oba Ewuare dynasty cashed in on this to usurp the powers of the Ogame. So by 1940, the coming of UP and Wolowo, these are their people. That is where the connivance were done. Ogame was now put aside while they took over completely. That is how it happened. When I was small, I used to know when Ogame, before you buy land in Utanta, Ogame used to sign. I witnessed it as a small boy. I witnessed it. If you buy land in Utanta, Ogame will sign paper for you. I saw it live. To still buttress the fact that Ogame was in charge of his territory, Utanta. When the need to have a government house came, Ogame was approached. And he released that place where you have government quarter and a government house, GRA, belongs to Ogame territory. The government applied and Ogame released it to them. If it's on record that Oba market of today, when the need to have a market of came, they also approached Ogame and they released the place to them. Now if Ogame wasn't in charge, would they have approached him? So that is not, it's not in dispute. The dispute we have is not that Oba Ewuare repealed the edict. That is the problem we are having now. We are not dragging the soul of the Oba of Benin with them. We are not interested in the Oba of Benin too. We are okay, we are comfortable with the Ogame of Utanta, which God has given to us. We are not dragging the Oba of Benin too. They are the people fighting us. So unknown to us, ideally, the federal and state government are supposed to maintain Ogame Palace being a recognized traditional ruler. And then the traditional ruler himself is supposed to be entitled to some allowances from both the federal and state government. But unknown to us that something bad had happened. We've not been seeing the federal government present in the palace. If I take you there and the palace is desolated, it's just dying, no government presence. We didn't know what was happening. That the edict which recognized us as a traditional ruler has been repealed secretly. We didn't know. So when we now installed the new Ogame of Utanta, because it became necessary when the information got to us that Oba was down. Of course, we know that at his age, anything could happen. And we needed to put our house in order so that they wouldn't say that we had no time, we had no person to perform the Eklopaga treaty with them. So we now install Ogame Arisco as the current Ogame of Utanta. Now, but prior to the installation of Ogame Arisco, in about 2010, the reigning Ogame then, Ogame Ogomo, wrote a letter to Oba Ewuare to complain to him that one, our Ogame is missing, Ogame Osabo was missing. In their response to us, the Oba Ewuare, in the response to us, refer to Edwin Ogbomo as Ezomo of Utanta. The then Oba Ewuare, in his letter to Edwin Ogbomo or Ogame, referred to him as Ezomo of Utanta. And again, he also addressed the letter through him, care of Ogame Palace. And he now said Ogiame quarters, which means that the Oba himself recognized that Ogiame is a distinct traditional ruler. To confirm that Ogiame lives in his own territory, which is Utantan. Now, in the second paragraph, it said that as far as they are concerned, he does not live in Benin. So we are not living in Benin Kingdom with them, we are living in Utantan. Then, on our request for the second role, they said again, as far as they are concerned, they do not know the role he plays to become the second in command to the Oba of Benin. So in this letter, you can see that Iridewa confirmed so many things. Confirmed Utantan, confirmed that we are distinct traditional rulers. Ogiame dynasty, Utantan Benin Kingdom, is an autonomous royal family distinct from the Oba of Benin Kingdom. 2, that the Ogiame royal dynasty, Utantan Benin Kingdom, is therefore the aborigine Benins. 3, that the Ogiame royal dynasty, Utantan Benin Kingdom, is the Oba's resort. 4, confirms the existence of the memorable Oktopaga Treaty that created the 2 distinct royal dynasties in the Godomigodo. That is the Ogiame royal dynasty at Utantan, Benin Kingdom, and the Oba Ewuare first dynasty at Benin Kingdom. 5, that Ogiame royal dynasty, Utantan Benin Kingdom, which came into existence in 9th century AD, gazetted in 1968 by through instrument MSLN 37 of 1968, and the letter of recognition of Ogiame royal stool and Utantan Benin Kingdom by Oba Ewuare, which I just presented to you now. In the said letter under reference, prove that the Ogiame royal family has never been under the Oba of Benin Kingdom and can never be. In fact, as a matter of fact, based on what I've just said, they have not disputed all this I've told you we have been talking about. Their own point of view is that it is too late for us to ask for our right. That is the point of disagreement. We are saying no. We want to implement the provision of the Oktopaga Treaty. They are saying no, it is too late. So to confirm all what I've been saying since, all these points I have marshaled out. During the recent coronation of the Oba Ewuare II, the Ogidigan, in the live broadcast, he reaffirmed to the whole world that they came from Ile-Ife. So what are we now talking about? What is the problem we having now? We are saying they came from Ile-Ife, that we are here, we are the owner here. And that the video clip is even there.
Historians all agree that Oduduwa sent his son Oromia at the request of elders of Benin to return with them as ruler of their realm. Oromia's stay in Benin may have been short, but before he left, a child was born to him who was later crowned Oba, and as is known today as Ewuare I. Oromia's time in Benin, however short-lived, he was an Oba, and so he was the first Oba after the Ogiso dynasty came to an end. He established Obaship in Benin. By implication, therefore, the listing of past Obas should therefore begin from Oromia.
Yes, actually, when we make a publication on the missing Ogiame, we address him as His Royal Majesty. The palace frowned at it seriously. That why should we address our former king as His Royal Majesty? And these are appellations that are not known to law. So when I now observe that they are quarreling on His Royal Majesty, I decided to shift ground. We are talking about, which they are quarreling about, is not to law. In the sense that when Oba Ewuare II was in the throne, he was being addressed as His Royal Highness. And when you look at all the paper documents for lands allocation in Benin, till when the government took over the land decree, it was all His Royal Highness. After his death, Oba Ewuare came on board. Initially, he was answering His Royal Highness himself, until when he started appointing dukes, his brothers. He did not take from any other family. He was appointing his brothers to our territory, changing the name of those territories to suit them. Like, for instance, Obagie, Obanosa, Oba Etin, all these ones, he was now appointing people in order to completely eradicate us, wash us out of existence. He now asked those his brothers to be bearing His Royal Highness. He now claimed to himself His Royal Majesty. It was Oba Ewuare that started bearing His Royal Majesty. So when we were making our publication, you are a tenant, we are the landlord. So when we now decided to make an advert on our missing Ogiamie, we now address him as His Royal Majesty, which they frown against. Okay, how do now know that they are quarreling for His Royal Majesty? We decided to shift ground to allow peace reign and actually claim what we actually are. Since we lease a part of Igodo to them, we decided to use, after consultation with the chiefs, we decided to use His Imperial Majesty. That is why today, me being addressed as His Imperial Majesty, Rich Arisco Osemge JP, the Ogiamie of Otata, Benin Nation.
So, sir, setting the record straight, what is your prayer now? So we know the case in the Supreme Court, since we have some facts.
Well, actually, in fairness to them, they are not disputing our claim. In fairness to them, they are not disputing our claim. But what they are saying that it is too late for my family to ask for what belongs to them.
Is it too late for you to ask for?
How can it be too late for me to claim my father's house? It's not too late for me to claim my father's house. They cannot go and take over our palace. The palace has been there before their own. It was my predecessor that allocated that place, that palace. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. Do you see this picture? This picture shows that I am a full-fledged blood of the great Ogiamie royal family. In 1979, this was my own person. This is my person. This is me. I was second in command to the Ogiamie's army that fought Oba Ewuare in 1979. This was our commander-in-chief. His name is General Osazuwa. He was in charge of the Ogiame's army, while I was second in command to him. But they are claiming that I am not from Ogiame, that I am born of a woman. My father is Ogiame. My mother is another person entirely from Nwode. To be precise, Ilobi. In Nwode local government area. Ilobi. He is the place of my mother. It was the senior brother of the commander-in-chief that came to bury my father in 2005. In 2005, his own senior brother, now late, buried my father. Can you go and get Ogiame to another family to come and bury your father if you are not from that family? And again, we have greetings. No other person have that greeting in the world apart from Ogiame. And the greeting is Laire. The greeting is Laire. When you see somebody greeting Laire in any part of the world, he is either a member of the Ogiame royal family or a wife to the Ogiame. No other person. Woman, man that greet Ogiame, they are either children of Ogiame or their wife.
Lastly, what would be your message to the sons and daughters of the Tanta kingdom who are spread in the south, west, north, and all over Nigeria and all over the world?
My message to them that they should all remain calm, that we will pursue our aid through due process. And at the moment, our case is now in the Supreme Court. We are now waiting for the Supreme Court to rule whether Oba Ewuare have the singular right, without consulting with the Ogiame, without consulting with the Aborigine BENINS, without constituting a panel to look into our matter, whether or not we are Ogiame. But I have that singular right on his own to use the instrument of government to remove that title, that gazette of 1968 from us, which was duly recognized. From that very year 1968 to date, all our entitlement from the federal government are being claimed by them. They sign for their own and at the same time sign for our own. The appeal court recognizes it as an instrument.
Wow.
That it is an instrument, a qualified instrument for the Ogiame to be as a traditional ruler. And their ruling in the state high court and in the appeal court says status quo should remain pending the outcome of this case in anywhere. And that is why you see me, I'm still dressing as the Ogiame. It is only him that flouted the law. As at the time this ruling was given, he was the Odaken Uselu. That is, this president of Gidigan was the Odaken Uselu, was in Uselu. He beat that law and forced himself to be installed without regards to the Ogiame.
You're talking about regards to the Ogiame. In your own aspect, do you still recognize him as the Oba of Benin?
But at this moment, in law, not even me recognizing him, in law he's not recognized. He's only suppressing the law. When the chiefs are down, everybody will answer his or her own
aspirations and the history of the Benin people.
The historians all agree that Oduduwa sent his son Oromia at the request of elders of Benin to return with them as ruler of their realm. Oromia's stay in Benin may have been shot, but before he left, a child was born to him, who was later crowned Oba, and as is known today, as Ewuare I. Oromiya's time in Benin, however short-lived, he was an Oba, and so he was the first Oba after the Ogiso dynasty came to an end. He established Obaship in Benin. By implication, therefore, the listing of past Obas should therefore begin from Oromiya, as it is listed in the Lariwa book. Short history of Benin, actually making my revered father 39th Oba that reigned in Benin, if the listing is counted from and should be counted from Oromiya. I therefore stand before you today as the 40th Oba of Benin. Direct descendant of Oromiya, the son of Oduduwa.
A very common ancestral issue. In this note, I want to present a gift from House of Oduduwa to you for us to remember our ancestor, our common ancestor, Oromiya, who was a prince in Ife, went to Benin Kingdom to be the first king in Benin, came back to Ife to be the 6th Oni of Ife, and they started having offspring, and to the glory of God we have the offspring of our ancestors. We have never recorded in history the hunter that he was then, because he was the greatest hunter ever recorded in history, and by virtue of that we want to present this spiritual gift to you that actually connotes our ancestral background. King Oromiya, that became king in Benin, became king in Oyo, became king also in Ife.
Supreme Court.
Hello listeners, you are welcome to a sacred place called Oba Ewuare in ancient city of Ile-Ife, where all the remains of all Obas of Benin are buried until about 2 centuries ago. This place is referred to as Oba Ewuare. Orun means heaven. Oba is a Yoruba word for king, while Ado is a dialect pronunciation variant of Edo. So the English translation for this sacred place is Heaven of Edo Kings, because it is a burial site for all Edo kings until about 200 years ago. Since Oba of Benin Eweka in 1935, when any Oba died in 1235, when any Oba died in Benin City, the head was cut off and buried exactly in this place in Ile-Ife. In return, a bronze replica of the head was sent back to Benin, where the rest of the body was buried. This continued until Oba Ewuare Nadbuizi died in exile in Calabar on the 1st of January 1914. In 2018, April 22nd, 27, the current Oba of Benin, Omonoba Nedu Uku Akpopolo Ewuare II, visited this place to pay homage to his forefathers.
Well, we don't know. Our lawyer told us that the case is supposed to come up today. That is why we came. But fortunately, the case has been adjourned. And they will give our lawyer a new date and we will come back. The case continues. The thing is, let me tell you a brief history of my family so that you understand what is actually happening. Today, what is today known as Benin City was started by my great-great-grandfather called Pa Ogiso. He was Ogiso of Igodomigodo. He ruled Igodomigodo Kingdom from the Ogisos ruled Igodomigodo Kingdom from 9th century AD to about 11th to 12th century AD before the Oduduwa dynasty came and invaded the Ogiamens. During the invasion, it was so bloody. At a certain point, there was peace. During that peace, the agreement was signed, which is now called the Ekwipaga Treaty. That Ekwipaga Treaty, then the reigning Ogiso Irebo, leased a particular portion of Igodomigodo to the current Oba of Benin, where they are staying now. That is what the Ogiso gave to the current Oba, where they are staying now. And they have been there living with us peacefully until about by 1968. The then military administrator of the Midwestern state recognized Ogiame and the Oba of Benin on the same traditional status as king, and we have been living peacefully. But unknown to us that the Oba of Benin, knowing the implication of putting the Ogiame and the Oba of Benin on the same traditional status, decided to falsify our records and remove the Ogiame title from the Gazette, unknown to us. We didn't know. So 2015, there was a vacuum in our family. We decided to install a new king, which is the current Ogiame Arisco. Then the current Oba took us to court that we have committed an offense. We said no, we have not committed any offense. Before we know it, they sent our king to prison. They made it difficult for us to bail our king. Then we went to the High Court. The High Court saw our case and released our king. So they went to Court of Appeal, where the Court of Appeal gave ruling. The Court of Appeal gave ruling saying that yes, the Ogiame stool is recognized, the same status of the Oba of Benin. But they are constrained. Their constraint is that the Ogiame stool in the Gazette had been tampered with. Who tampered with it? They didn't tell us. So that's when we now say, okay, we now went to Supreme Court to appeal to find out from the Supreme Court whether a traditional stool as great as that of the Ogiame of Utantan could be tampered with by one single person without letting us know. That's why we are in the Supreme Court. No more, no less. And we have said this repeatedly. We are not interested in the stool of the Oba of Benin. Rather, the Oba of Benin is dragging our coveted stool, because the more we exist, the more we serve as a threat to them. Because they have criminally falsified our document. Now they are using it to punish us. We are not criminals. They are the criminals fighting us. So, and we have said it, and we say it again. The current Oba Ewuare should leave us alone. He knows the truth. He knows we are not dragging him. We are not dragging his stool. He is the one fighting us. He is the one dragging our stool. And that is it. And we have told Benin. So that is why we are in the Supreme Court, for them to tell us whether the Oba of Benin has that power to go and tamper with our edict that was signed into law. You didn't invite us, you didn't tell us, you didn't let us know, we didn't know until when we install our current king. Then you say we have committed an offense. All the previous Ogiames we have installed, we have never taken permission from the Oba of Benin. Rather, before you install the Oba of Benin, you must come to us. Because part of the treaty is that before an Oba is installed, the Ogiame has a role to play. But in the treaty, the Oba has no role to play in the installation of Ogiame. You can see the difference. The Ogiame has an important role to play before an Oba becomes an Oba of Benin. But in the case of Ogiame, the Oba has no role because it's a visitor, it's a stranger. But today, a stranger has forged document, is now the original person, fighting the owners of the land, chasing us about, even trying to kill us. We are hiding. Can just imagine what a legal document stranger. They came to Igodomigodo land, invaded us, and forcefully took occupation of where they are staying today. We are not bothering them. We have allowed them to stay. Now, as we have allowed them to stay, they went and forged document. They are criminals. Now they are forged document, now calling us criminals. So we are now in the Supreme Court to tell us whether a particular person, because he was privileged, he was having a relationship with the previous governor, could falsify our records to make us criminals. We are not criminals. They are the criminals. So this is what we are. That's why we are at the Supreme Court. Following the Supreme Court, they didn't meet today. They will communicate a new date to our lawyer. The Ogames 2 is date started 9th century ago. It started as Ogiso. It started as Ogiso from 9th century. By 11 when Ogiso Irebo was Ogiso of Igodomigodo. When Oba Romia came to fight us, then Ogiso Irebo was shouting, telling the BENINS who were supporting him ignorantly, say, look, I'm your ba if Igodomigodo, Ogie Ami if Igodomigodo. That was why the stool now converted from Ogiso to Ogiame. So the Ogiso stool is 9th century to date. You can calculate that. It's an old stool. So an old traditional stool cannot be put under limitation. It's a traditional stool, not a honorary stool. So we are the Supreme Court for them to tell us whether a particular person has that right to just tamper with an edict that was signed by an indigene of the state, the late Dr. Oba Ewuare. It's an indigene of Benin. He knows. We didn't lobby. We didn't send anybody to go and beg him to recognize us. They know that we are the owners of Benin. And they recognize us as king. They put us, Oba Ewuare signed it and put Ogiame and Oba Benin on the same pedestal statue. We are not disturbing them. Although as at that time of rulership, there was nothing coming to the only recognition traditional ruler had then was just mere government invite you when they have special dignitaries. No salary, no allowance. So the previous Ogiame were like I said, were not really serious. They were busy farmers, illiterate. So the Oba Benin and the Obas, previous Obas who came from a more civilized environment, cashed in on it and decimated us. And two, the previous Ogiame too were not comfortable sitting in the midst of invaders. Even though they have been recognized by God, these are invaders, they are criminals. They forced them way through to Igodomigodo. And don't mind you, during the slave trade area, the previous Obas were capturing our people, sending them to slave. So Ogiames too were afraid to go and meet in the meeting with them. He doesn't know whether they want to carry him as slave and give to the white people who came. So they use this psychological warfare. The Ogiames now have begun to stay away. One, there was no salary. Two, there was no government recognition. Just merely they have a function, they invite you, you come, you go. So our previous Ogiame were farmers. So the Oba cashed in on it and decimated us. Then
Speaking on behalf of the union, a representative of the president in Benin City, Uyi Osunde, said the utterances in the live video on social media by the said Murphy came as a rude shock to them, as he has never been their member at any point in time. He said the Edo community in Germany holds the Benin monarch, Oba Ewuare II, in high esteem and can never descend so low to challenge the monarch's authority. Mr. Osunde said the press briefing became necessary to put the record straight to the general public that the members of the union in Germany has nothing to do with the said Uyi Murphy, and the general public should be aware that the president of Edo community in Germany is Ejodame Christian and not Uyi Murphy.
We do not know or have any connection to the above named person. He is not a president of our community, as he has said in one of his online presentations. Therefore, any person who has anything to do with him, including the passing of insult on the Oba of Benin, His Royal Majesty Oba Ewuare II, will have himself or herself to blame. Anyone who is an enemy to the palace of the Oba of Benin is an enemy to our community and the entire Edo State as a whole.
The spokesperson said they are using the opportunity of the press briefing to communicate to the Edo State government, the police, and other relevant authorities. In a recent online video, the said Uyi Murphy, who portrayed himself as the president of Edo community in Germany, among other things, challenged the authority of the Benin monarch, Omonoba Nedu Ukwa Polopolo, Oba Ewuare II, a situation that the community in Germany frowned at. Efosa Wangwe reporting.
No, never reach. Johnson Achelege, you must come out from your hiding. Enough is enough. We have had enough of you. This is just the beginning. Johnson Achelege must be arrested and sent for justice. Johnson Achelege must face justice. Johnson Achelege must face justice. He must face justice. He cannot be killing our people and be going scot-free. This is the end of Johnson Achelege. We are going to Ologbo to fish him out. We will go to Ologbo and fish him out. We are going to fish son Johnson Achelege out. You cannot be killing Benin people and you think you can go home and sleep. Not in this kingdom anymore. No Yawa. Oba Ewuare. Isa. Oba Ewuare. Isa. Egwawese. Isa. Isa. Oya. Oba Ewuare. Isa. Mogu. You talk. Akugbe, Maralo, Wagima, Akugbe, Nemi, Yagama, Akugbe, Oti, Wagima, Akugbe, Nemi, Yagama, Akugbe, Akugbe, Magalo, Kugbe, Ma. magalo, wagi mama kugbe, emi yaga. Idiani yesigine koba ya simewo igi gbowi yemene rowe ya simewo ọba àtọpẹ ìṣe ọmọlọba àtọpẹ ìṣe. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all my Benin brothers and sisters across the world, my Edo brothers and sisters across the world. I greet you all in Jesus' name. I want to state, because I saw a video, somebody was mentioning my name and my commander name, Awilu, in his video on Facebook. So I decided to respond, shortly, so that he cannot mislead the public with his lies. That young man called Ojo or Mama Obasoa is a land grabber, is a criminal, the criminally minded land grabber. He has encroached and sold Oba land, over 70 plots of Oba land he sold at Ogiso. Ogiso is not a community, it is a street inside Iyumudun village. Iyumudun gave Oba of Benin when he was the crown prince. When the Oba was the crown prince, they gave Oba that place. Is 1,000 feet by 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet by 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet by 1,000 feet was given to the Oba of Benin, our present Oba of Benin, when he was the crown prince, for Imoha. Every village in Benin Kingdom do that for the Oba of Benin and the crown prince. Imoha, Ayematie. There's nowhere in Benin Kingdom they will give our Oba 500 feet by 500 feet, which was the lie he was saying in his video. Every community gives, every village, every street that there is land, they give a minimum of 500 feet by 1,000 feet, or 1,000 feet by 1,000 feet or more. That is the way it is. That's the tradition of Benin Kingdom. This young man has been selling Oba land with the mind that his father, his late father, was a chief. Who made his father a chief? His father was never a chief in Benin Kingdom. He's an Ishan boy. Came all the way from Ishan and started selling Oba land. I've arrested him twice, and he has been running until he was trying to obstruct our work. Because my Oba have given me the mandate to recover his land, and that is what we are going to do, and that's what we are doing. He's too small to stop us from doing our work. He went and wanted to disrupt our activities, and my boys picked him up and brought him to the palace, and we dealt with him. If it was in the olden days trying to stop the work of the Oba of Benin, you know what it means? He will be beheaded. He had the guts and the effrontery to stop my workers from doing their duty, from their duty work. So we have to teach him a lesson. He will never forget in a hurry. He was lucky he's still alive. He was lucky. How can you distrust people that came from the palace to recover Oba land? Because he has sold Oba land. He has sold over 70 plots. Almost 100 plots he sold of Oba land. Where did he get the land he's selling? His father, his late father, bought land in Ogiso community. Where he is living, his father gave it to him. Where he is living, the father bought the land. The father had no land in Ogiso, but he's parading fake document saying that his father gave him the land. That his father is the owner of all those land. Who gave his father that land? He has not come to explain himself. Then instead, he's trying to tell the Oba or go back that Oba should not come to Obiso. Who is Odion to stop Oba from entering Obiso? Or any Oba subject, or we that are working for the Oba not to enter Obiso? Who is he?
Larry Dimorphy, Ugomba Ugomba Agboe. Do I look like your mate? Do I look like your mate? Anytime you am in Nigeria, you am in Edo, in here where me who believe. When it am now, in here where me who believe. You can lower, because you are a stupid idiot, an illiterate, a bastard. I knew how your brother, Dennis, begged me to assist you. I knew how I tried to save you. I knew the embarrassment I got because of you. One man more remember with me. You get money reach me, may God punish you. You get money reach me, I be your mate. Who raised Germany? Do you know when I came to Germany? I got to Germany in 1992. Are you mad? My immediate younger brother still lives in Germany over 30 years now. I left him behind in Germany. Do you know me at all? You think I'm like all those people you that your Chris, na me go cure. That your Chris, na me go cure. You idiot, illiterate down on my mouth. Obigwe, am I your mate? You see what I'm going to do to you. Anytime I see you in Nigeria, you see what I'm going to do. You are encouraging crime. You are encouraging criminality. Who are we to Gunanegua? Who's war Gunagua son of Gunanegua? Umeme, Oba Ewuare, Umeme.
So we are here.
Okay, so more on the colonial masters' visits regarding the artifacts. Like you said what really attracted them to Benin? How did they come? What was their purpose and all?
Their purpose is like, when a lot of people, how the British are the white men do their whole thing. They love to search for something. They love to search for greener pasture. They love to move. When they create something, they don't like to make a test run of it and all that. When they created the ship, they keep traveling from land to land. They want to see how people, if for that place people exist, like the visit to Africa. So the visit to Africa, they get to a place, they hear about the Benin Kingdom and Yoruba. And I believe what was really interested them to know that a place like Benin exists. Because in 2010, there was a city called Japan. Japan has a city called Edo City. If you look at the world map now, you see the Edo City. In 2010, they were here to pay Oba Ewuare homage that they were once conquered by the first Oba Ewuare. Because the first Oba Ewuare was crowned in the year 1440, he joined the ancestor of 1473. The first Oba Ewuare fought 201,000 villages. He made them also to Benin. He did not only fought in Africa, he did not only fought
masters' visits regarding the artifacts. Like you said how did they come? What was their purpose and all?
Their purpose is like, when a lot of people, how the British are the white men do their whole thing. They love to search for something. They love to search for greener pasture. They love to move. When they create something, they don't like to make it. People exist, like the visit to Africa. So the visit to Africa, they get to a place, they hear about the Benin Kingdom and Yoruba. And I believe what was really interested them to know that a place like Benin exists. Because in 2010, there was a city called Japan. Japan has a city called Edo City. If you look at the world map now, you see the Edo City. In 2010, they were here to pay Oba Ewuare homage that they were once conquered by the first Oba Ewuare. Because the first Oba Ewuare was crowned in the year 1440, he joined the ancestor of 1473. The first Oba Ewuare fought 201,000 villages. He made them also to Benin. He did not only fought in Africa, he did not only fought in Nigeria, he also crossed across the sea. He fought in Asia, in that city in Japan called Edo City. And the way he was doing it, he was a great physician. He learned he was always disappearing and appearing when he was doing nothing. So that was why he was the exist. Because in 2010 there was a city called Japan. Japan has a city called Edo City. If you look at the world map now, you see the Edo City. In 2010, they were here to pay Oba Ewuare homage that they were once conquered by the first Oba Ewuare. Because the first Oba Ewuare was crowned in the year 1440, he joined the ancestor of 1473. The first Oba Ewuare fought 201,000 villages. He made them also to Benin. He did not only fought in Africa, he did not only fought in Nigeria, he also crossed across the sea. He fought in Asia, in that city in Japan called Edo City. And the way he was doing it, he was a great physician. He learned he was always disappearing and appearing when he was doing nothing. So that was why he was the person who established, who expanded the Benin Kingdom beyond reasonable doubt. That was why during his reign, that was when the Portuguese visited before we now have Oba Ewuare, whose reign was the shortest Oba that lasted 14 days. Before Ozolola took over, Ozolola the Conqueror, which was crowned exist. Because in 2010, there was a city called Japan. Japan has a city called Edo City. If you look at the world map now, you see the Edo City. In 2010, they were here to pay Oba Ewuare homage that they were once conquered by the first Oba Ewuare. Because the first Oba Ewuare was crowned in the year 1440, he joined the ancestor of 1473. The first Oba Ewuare fought 201,000 villages. He made them also to Benin. He did not only fought in Africa, he did not only fought in Nigeria, he also crossed across the sea. He fought in Asia, in that city in Japan called Edo City. And the way he was doing it, he was a great physician. He learned he was always disappearing and appearing when he was doing nothing. So that was why he was the person who established, who expanded the Benin Kingdom beyond reasonable doubt. That was why during his reign, that was when the Portuguese visited before we now have Oba Ewuare, whose reign was the shortest to exist. Because in 2010, there was a city called Japan. Japan has a city called Edo City. If you look at the world map now, you see the Edo City. In 2010, they were here to pay Oba Ewuare homage that they were once conquered by the first Oba Ewuare. Because the first Oba Ewuare was crowned in the year 1440, he joined the ancestor of 1473. The first Oba Ewuare fought 201,000 villages. He made them also to Benin. He did not only fought in Africa, he did not only fought in Nigeria, he also crossed across the sea. He fought in Asia, in that city in Japan called Edo City. And the way he was doing it, he was a great physician. He learned he was always disappearing and appearing when he was doing nothing. So that was why he was the person who established, who expanded the Benin Kingdom beyond reasonable doubt. That was why during his reign, that was when the Portuguese visited before we now have Oba Ewuare, whose reign was the shortest Oba that lasted 14 days. Before Ozolola took over, Ozolola the Conqueror, which was crowned in the year 1478, joining ancestors 1504. Oba Ewuare was the father of Exige, but during the reign of Oba Ewuare, the relationship between the BENINS and that of the Portuguese became.
See, people will be higher killers. People will even agree and wood. Okay, one many and one never go. I do via river. When I listen to the other one, man, you are more now. Listen to this one. Oh. You had one man. See, you see this one. I'm gonna list this one. I'm gonna delete this one. I'm gonna delete this one. Hello? What? Is that Chief Omotete? What?
Yes.
I had sorry, I had the banish from the palace. You are no longer a chief in the palace. Is that true? Hello? When
I've been banished from the palace.
Hello? Yeah, we will give a palace. Yeah, who for? Who na him?
You see how stupid you are. I mean, who I am.
See, there's a deputy who for. You are who a family where you are.
You are very, very stupid. Who are? Very, very stupid. You are so insane.
Ogiso, you are so
Do you know the meaning of Ogiso? Do you know where Ogiso is coming from? Does your family have anything to do with the land of Ogiso? No. You and the entire Ogiano family. You're crazy.
See the driver, brother come up for palace with the deputy Oba. They say they are from Okwesan. Who wake up on two? You are Oba Ewuare. I will beg Oba. I'm going to beg the Oba to forgive you people. I'm not call what we do.
You don't go and treat your ailments.
Hey.
Don't go and treat your ailments, man.
Three family, they be a chief in palace. They will all expect for palace.
You are dying slowly. You are still talking.
You see the juju ebo elala ya sile. Could not be me right there. Ya elala sile. Ya the 100 euro go 100 euro. Ya can't hear anywhere near 100 euro go.
I don't know. Let me not just abuse you, Ayelala. Because in my way, Ayelala.
Let us do fundraising for this man. Let us give him 100 euro to eat. They are with you, boy.
You are a complete bastard. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you are going to. You don't know where you are coming from.
This man was expelled from the palace.
You don't know your history.
You don't know.
Your father is dying in the village there. Your father is dying in the village. Don't go and rescue your father. He's dying in the village.
But is that true that you were banned from the palace? Is that true? Is it fake information? ITV, where TV? See, it was Saroida reported it that you are banished from the palace, and the deputy Oba is also banished, and the Bonoto, and the November one who were Ewuare. Yeah, the January. Yeah, the January.
Come to Nigeria. You have been saying Ewuare for over 2 years now.
Yeah, Ranamigo was there now, and he went back successfully. Wagbewa. Oh, Rona.
Did they tell you Ranamigo is an enemy? Yeah, come on, video.
Making my father is dead now. We come to do my father burial by January.
Okay, he's dead now.
Yes.
You see, you left the man there in the village to die. Yeah. That man was suffering from, God knows what. That man you call your father, his spirit will haunt you because you are a complete nuisance.
But how you not surviving now since they are expelled from the palace? Let us donate for you now. Let us do fundraising for you. Huh?
Before you were born, I was already a star. Before you were born, I was already a star. Don't worry.
But yeah, what you people carry juju to one man house. Now carry juju go Oka house who they swear. Oba say no send now. So because the Oba enemy, Oba we be here now.
I tell you now Oba juju I carry.
You are not the same category with me now. Oba will be here now because you have sorry now say now Oba will be.
When the meaning of Oba? When are you Oba?
If no Oba give na ya we only mean Oba we here now. We dey book but no bata na. Oba
You are a funny bastard.
Mo here president of one.
Do an advert where you want to come and bury your father. Now,
yeah, Rena.
Do an advertorial that you are coming to bury your father.
Police will protect me. I'm going to take police protection.
Not just get police protection, get military protection. Get military protection. Anywhere you want to bury your father, just let the people know.
I will come by January now.
Very good.
He said, "Oh, what? We say, yeah, don't make you, yeah, don't make you, man. I want to make you, man. Ugiso, I will invite you now.
I am the one waiting. I'm the one waiting to kill you. I am the one waiting to kill you.
But I have security, police security now. The police commissioner of police will provide me security now, like about 5 policemen.
Commissioner of police, get the inspector general of police to come with you, and get the commandant 4th Mechanized Brigade to be with you.
But I'm so when I saw you on the news that you were being banned, expelled from the palace, and your title, everything were removed from you, I was so shocked.
You don't even know the meaning. You don't even know the English meaning. Please do yourself a word of good to buy a dictionary and know the meaning of expel, suspend, whatever language you lack now.
Can we help you? Can we find something to give you?
How did you get my number anyway?
Can we help you with like 200 euro or 100 euro?
Do you have money?
Well, Nigga secretary, can I send my secretary to you?
Do you have money?
I have secretary.
People are donating for you. People are donating for you everywhere.
Yes, now because I'm a man of human rights now.
All those prostitutes, those women, prostitutes, never. They are the ones donating.
Your daughter in Italy, which work now and they come with that. They say they go school for Italy.
Your pose I have only one daughter. She's in the medical college here.
Okay, that one I did Italy for. That one say leave my family alone. That one go. Who be that one?
I don't have anyone. I don't have anybody anywhere in Europe.
When I watched this video, I was shocked. Say a whole multitude of this street. If this man they talk history today, you will walk, you will tire. How did he born to do what? How did now Duduwa na he born to Duduwa? Why not the answer your papa name? Duduwa of Migudu? No. We Lao multitude do because I like the agility of this man. If I cannot pay you, I will raise money for you online. Oh, when they make people doctor, they are here about the men were here.
Your boy, no, liver problem. You have only one child?
No, I have three children. Able man, I'm 5 months. My woman is pregnant for me. It's 5 months pregnancy, and she have a daughter for me. And still have one son before my woman. So all together is 3. Which one do you want to bring?
I know that you have only one son.
No, there is a daughter. That one you see on the video is a daughter. She's a daughter. She's not Amioba in Amioba. Her name is Amioba.
Now you what agent
what is your real name? Let me send you money. Because people are committed and say they want to help you.
Huh? Oba, come let me do fundraising for you because you need it. You are
but why you don't that come out in that woman Nebo TV before you used to come and tell history, but now you have run away. What happened? Very good. That time I was watching you. I was very happy. I say, this one is telling us our history. We want to know where we come from. How come you don't do that again? What happened? And they sack you or you sack yourself. What happened, sir?
Transfer that case from
the information I had that before you were expelled from the palace, why you know answer the title again? Why you know answer that title again?
So because you are just in your prison there. You don't walk on the streets of Germany.
No, I was in Berlin, sir. I was in Berlin protest. I was also in Düsseldorf. If I move around, ask your people in Europe now. Okay, where do you want me to go? This on the first week of next month. I'm going to France in Paris. Yes, I have a protest. I'm very close to my house now. Why you didn't call me now? I could have come and welcome you and
just your
you are all your bad, but yeah, spare you are also my colleague now.
So now
Messi, but yeah, spell well now. Why you not functioning as a but you're not taking. Before you to watch your name, ITV News or Oba Ewuare of Benin Kingdom, Chief of Multi But you don't answer this title now.
Represent me, but
anymore.
Do I have any contact with you that you will know whether I answer or not?
I am going to call the International Council tomorrow, Monday, to confirm what you have just said now, because we watch it on the news that you were being removed from the palace. But how come you are still parading yourself as Oba Ewuare? If I don't think I'll put you in problem with this, what happened to Prince Okoro that allowed the Prince Okoro to drink pepper soup? If I don't want that kind of thing to also happen to you, that is because I am just telling you.
It's
He said Prince Okoro is my friend. I'm very happy for Prince Okoro to be my friend, but Prince Okoro is supposed to be loyal to me, but he was not loyal. That's the problem. You cannot serve two masters at the same time. Only cannot loyal. So when you buy a king of Orionba, we have many Orionba. But
Ayoba Zakon, Ayoba told the Ayoba Sini, Ayoba Vere, Munaya Tiofekwe, you must understand. You thank God your father is dead now, because if not doing him, you have a guardian. Thank you, your father proved to be a good man, but you are very short. Thank God he denied you. I wish you come. I wish you come. So no go there's a verification to know where passports. Looking for publicity for himself.
But at the end of the day, you arrested him. I bailed him. I personally did about 80% of the bail or 70%. I'm here.
What's our business with Joker? We have no business with a Joker.
But you said you want to take him to Port Court for a federal court.
No, the palace has no hand in all that. That is what you must know. Just a few real Benin people who felt the boy was stupid or near the palace had no hand in it.
What about the 13,000 euro? My 13,000 euro case, Unko. The police also have no hand in 8 million naira. Can I send you?
The palace has no hand. Listen to you. The palace has no hand in the case you have before now. The palace has no hand. I know a few of our Benin chiefs and all that who took up the case because they are loyal citizens of Benin Kingdom. And you are with 13,000 euros.
But the signature was signed by the Oba of Benin, and the signature, can I send you the signature? Two signatures. And Barrister Michael Osako, senior lawyer of Nigeria, he wrote an affidavit and said that the Oba of Benin said this, the Oba of Benin empowered him to give the power of Anthony to those two lawyers. 13,000 euro.
You think the Oba has time for you?
Okay, if the Oba don't have time for me now, that is, I can also come to Benin and do my father burial and go now, since he don't have time for me now.
The Oba does not have time for you. We maneuver to all major time. So if you are good and bold enough, come to Benin.
Okay, what if I come to Uromi, what will happen to me?
Anywhere you want to come to Edo State, come to Nigeria. Just let us know that you are in Abuja.
What's the agreement? You say now stop it, Biryani.
So I talk about who we say you.
Yeah, we bury Ani.
Ogiso atok be, man we say yo.
You don't even know
why are you gonna answer? Why is it that initially they don't answer Oba Isiagbo? All those names they are answering. How come they don't answer those names initially? How come they don't answer those names in Yoruba land? Oba Nyagbon, Oba Gwagmoze, Oba this. Why they not answering those names in Yoruba land? So why they not answering this? How come they don't answer those names? Eh? How come? This is what I'm asking us, sir. How come?
You don't know. It's you want to know. Humble yourself to learn. Humble yourself to learn. Know this thing you are doing. Don't know the history. Don't know the history.
Okay.
You people have you have cornered this boy to you want to kill him, Bosaboye, the Amir of Benin. And you and your other idiot people trying to put the hell.
See, let me tell you, don't forget this thing I want to tell you today. I want to tell you, now that you don't have work now, I know Benin, things are very scarce, things are hard. Why can't you just loyal to me and let me help you? I have followers. Now I'm waiting. Let us place you on salary basis and show your loyalty. Who will give so at all? When only
Libya like Europe. If not for the white woman that is helping you there, who are you?
But when for you people to have forcefully bring my father to that palace, don't you know that is a breach of human rights?
Nobody forced your father. Nobody forced your father.
Why must you forcing him to be swearing for me? That is not a crime. Eh?
Listen to me, man. Listen to me.
Okay.
Listen and listen well.
Yes.
If you are on your live presentation, you better just listen now.
Okay.
And all the fools that they say they are loyal to you, let them all hear me.
Okay.
I am almost like you of Benin.
Okay.
And let me tell you, your father, nobody even knew that you had a father. The palace was not aware that you even had a father. That you are even truly a Benin person.
Okay.
When a few persons, there were about 8 of them, they walked into the palace. The old man introduced himself as your father.
Okay.
And I went on total. You know, some overzealous boys were going to start hitting him. I was one of those and said, no. We must tell His Majesty where Omabeniana, and we now brought something to the knowledge of His Majesty where Omabeniana, his father were Aniki. And so, you know, it even surprised me that the Oba Ewuare Omabu were at all. Because he's not on social media. He doesn't know you. All the nonsense, Wawatalo, he doesn't hear. Okay. So it was straight. We now, okay, what he go and ask him. The man said, well, Eba may bring it to his own notice. That's this your father. So that other bring it to his own notice what his son is. Then the man now said, for so many years, you never came back. You never even came for a visit or anything. They would have gone, they would roll. Now, it was just the man proved himself to be well, humble and good man. And I'm like, okay, now if you have any means of reaching your son, tell him the nonsense in Ouni, he should stop it, and that he should go and learn the history. He should try and learn the history. Nobody forced.
Okay, those swear he was swearing for me. Who was saying it, all these things on his smart to do all these things? Don't you know that it's against the law? Huh? On the video.
Nobody said anything to him.
A series of Benin, when they said he was telling my father, he was inciting all those words on his man. Don't you know that is?
No.
You want me to send you the video?
No. That is a bloody lie.
What is on the video? It's on the video. Can you check it on YouTube? Right, Murphy Face Father in Oba Palace. See what they were telling him to swear for me.
Nobody forced your father to swear for you. The man came on his own volition to the palace.
How many times my father came to palace? How many times he came to that to my
knowledge, once.
My father said he came to palace 5 times. Maybe you saw it once. And my father, before my father died, my father confessed in his sick bed that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. You na you so all these things, these are the case we are back. At least you said the Oba is not aware, and actually my father was able to make those confessions before he died. And my father is a man of truth; he doesn't lie. And in the video that was placed on YouTube, we saw where Isiria, the deputy Oba, was forcing my father to swear for me against his wish. Don't you know that it's against the law? It's on YouTube. I have it. I have downloaded it.
Nobody endorse your father, whether by force or by anything, to say what he said.
What about Prince Okoro? Do people force Okoro to drink that water, or he drink it by himself?
Foreigners.
What about the one of Prince Okoro? Prince Okoro
actually not in
Prince Okoro drink that water. Now was it forced, or he did it at his own wish to drink that water?
You don't know why Prince Okoro was made to swear, to take oath?
No.
Do you know?
No.
Why? You just see a picture that does not tell a story. Prince Okoro had on his vehicle. This crest of the Oba.
Yes.
Not just Adabebe. Cast with Eon.
British supporter on the whole world was fighting
made on the same vehicle
defeat America. Where to defeat him in what powers?
Where is that? He is a Noki. Is there someone who Benin? It's not a Noki.
But when they were using Okoro in a good matter, when they were using Okoro to swear, they were asking Okoro if he knows him. And which relationship do I have with him? They say he should put the hand on the swear. They were asking him,
a British or something to the answer.
People should learn to ask questions and ask the real people so that you will know the truth. Okoro was not taken to Ekwamaton. Okoro was not taken to Ekwamaton. Is not a place that
I was on
it's a place where in council, the Oba sits in judgment for his people.
I was on one.
The only thing in here was that all of the yes, they are looking for people to deceive. It is not a book that is meant to kill somebody. You say you are not this. Ask the Murphy. You say you are not this. You didn't do this. Okay. You are all your sins are forgiven. But if you do it again, that is all.
But in the one of Eddie Murphy, you saw when Eddie Murphy you saw the pressure put on him that they naked him, and you see what happened during that process. Eddie Murphy said it that if he refused to swear, they could have used him. He could have not been alive today. And Prince Okoro, do you want me to call Prince Okoro in your present now? Do you want me to call Prince Okoro now? And let me ask Prince Okoro if what you are saying and what you say Prince Okoro is saying is the same thing. You know, I like you. The reason why I like you, you could have made good of spokesman. Edo State government is supposed to appoint you as the press secretary to Edo State government because you are very good in
you are so mundane. You are so dumb. You don't know. You just.
Do you think it's hygienic? Okoro, who live in England, will come and be drinking water from the ordinary ground. Do you think that is hygienic? To put water on the ground. What is the what is that water? What where many?
Okay, it's ordinary water.
It's ordinary water. What is the meaning of that one? I wanted to stop there. The great other you, maybe don't want. we made one. No one money men well they do worry where do all have it well when I did worry well.
Go and sit down in the comfort of your solitude and beg for forgiveness of the Oba. Oba at all. He does not even know whether you exist.
But you know this is Sir, have you read the history of Ozolwa? You know the history. Why did Ozolwa kill himself? Well, Ozolwa could be say what? We say how?
Oh God.
This is an historical things.
You don't just jump into a history from the middle. When I come away, a history. Don't when I come away history.
Ozolwa say.
Yes.
Okay, I want to. Okay.
You don't know.
I want to ask you only one question, sir. This question, Oba Ozolwa, where was Oba Ozolwa? What happened to Ozolwa in Nissan land? What happened to him? Ozolwa was why jump over? What was it true that Ozolwa died in Nissan? Was it true or not? What happened? Who was he fighting in Nissan land? We want to know. In Uromi.
Now listen to me, it's Uzia. Now listen, Ozolwa was not fighting anybody in Nissan land.
Okay.
Was not fighting with anybody in Nissan land. When what happened to him happened. He didn't go to Uzia to fight.
Well, how come he cut the head of Uzia in Uzia? How come he didn't go to Uzia to fight?
Listen to me.
Okay.
The whole story concerning that the death of Uzia, it relates to Okota, the great medicine man.
No, just tell us about the one of Uzia. We want to know about Zola. Okota is different. I know that one. Yes.
I can tell you right now. I'm just watching a football match now. After this, I'm supposed to. I'll go to my studio to work. I work all day, all night.
But so is it true that Ozolwa, Evina Sunda Uzia, and before something happened to him in Uzia, a head of Uzia was removed. If you go to Igun, the head of Uzia is sold there, the bronze mask of Uzia. But how come he died in Uzia? What happened to him? He's sick and he died there. What happened to him? Because a signed Bedo. But we saw what happened in Uzia, that when he was waging war with everybody, but when he waged war with Uromi and Uzia, that was what happened to him. But anytime we ask those questions, people will jump it. You want to jump it to what do you call it? That one, Okota. They tell us. Who killed him? Who killed him in Uzia? We want to know. Was he died like that?
Okota, the great medicine man from Uzia.
Yes.
Made that prophecy to Oba Ewuare the first. This one, Opame, because when he was preparing the medicine for him, a ball of heavy water fell on him. This one is Opame. That's why it was even before his birth, he was named Opame.
Okay. Okay.
And then this one will be the one, the very person that will kill him, Okota. Immediately, the father, the Oba, now said, well, of all these things you have done good, done well. If he kills you, that very day, he too will die. So it was the head of Okota that he killed, not the head of the king of Uzia. Learn your history, please.
Okay, who killed what do you call that man just now? Ozolwa. Who killed Ozolwa? Who killed him in Nissan?
It's the people of Uzia.
That is what we are saying now. Okay, but the grave is still there. Anytime they want to become coronating Oba, they always go there. The grave is still there. How come the grave is still there? Huh?
No way. There are things I don't know. And even if I know that I cannot talk about as a palace chieftain, it's no way. If you want to learn about Benin, humble yourself and learn. Not all these aggrandizements, this stupidity that you are just overflowing everywhere. It is not right for you. It is not right for you. Nobody fights the Oba and succeed.
Sir, I think you answer your father's name. Is that true? Are you not answering your father's name? Yes or no, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Ikaladeran is the father of Oba. Why is he not answering Ikaladeran as Ikaladeran of Benin Kingdom or Ikaladeran of Godomigodo? Why are you not answering your father's name? Since Ikaladeran is your name, you're supposed to be answering Ikaladeran. And what I expected you to do, sir, you see, we have Ogiso Igodo, we have Ogiso Ere, we have Ogiso Muse, we have Ogiso, many Ogisos who are. Why till today we don't have any Ogiso primary school? All those names are not remembered in our states. Even we don't even have Ogiso secondary school. Why is it that we have Oba Ewuare down to Oba Ewuare? We have all their names. What happened to our names?
You see the problem you have. You see the problem you have.
Okay.
So when I where there is Ogiso market, Ekyogiso, you don't know that there is Ogiso primary school?
No, Ekyogiso is called New Market. Go pass it through second. They have turned the name to New Market, sir. Check it very well. I will not lie to you.
People call it New Market because of the renovation.
The signboard is there. It's called New Market. The signboard is there.
It's not a new market, but it's one of the oldest markets in Benin.
But the name is called New Market. The name is there, sir.
Only Wanimae. But for those of you who don't know, so it's it cannot be called New Market.
So do you also believe in Orun Obado? Do you know that place in Ile-Ife? You were there after the coronation or during the coronation. I saw you there with what do you call it, Channel News. I have the video. We are there in Orun Obado. We have Orun Obado. We also have Orun Oba Oyo, because Oba Oromiyan is the father of Alafin. He's not the father of Oweka. They have a site, a historical site called Orun Oba Oyo. That is they also have a place called Orun Oba Ado. Okay, sir. What do you know about the Orun Oba Ado?
I will tell you the history. I attended University of Ife, and I know Ife so well. As somebody who's been very interested in history and anthropology, in my 4 or 5 years I was there, I did a lot of things. I did a lot of work, a lot of investigations and research. So this one you are talking about, there is no such place.
Can I send you the video? Can I send you the video? And I saw it when you all were there. Even Imaswen was there. The place is spent. They have built one small room inside. It took place. I will send you I spent not less than 200,000 naira. I went to the New Ife Palace to show us that place, Orun Oba Ado. And are you trying to tell me that you were not there?
What is the meaning of Orun Oba Ado?
Ado? The name of Ewuare, Ewuare is called Ado. When we went there, they call you the children of Ado. And sir, I want to put this last question before you, sir. Who is the Ewuare of who sent to you? Who is the Ewuare of who sent to you? Who is him to Oba? We want to know.
Ewuare of Use is one of the priests who escorted Oromiyan from Ile-Ife. But because of Amenoro or Arise, that place they now call Use, it is Agogbebo. So killed on his body, big rashes. So they now asked him to wait behind. The Oloton and others asked him to wait behind. Omakeke, the place they are just going, our mystic person, Amula Tedo. And I will not wait. So every time they now send message to him to come back. He was always promising, I will come in 5 days time.
Okay.
And so
what is the name? What is the name of Ewuare of Use, the Yoruba name? With the name they brought from Ife, what is the real name?
say not when you matter now. Understand? Because you want to go and because when you go and see them where matter, you know. Understand? When you go and see matter, you know. Hello?
Okay, so I talk there.
Let's see.
When Oba Ewuare, who can let me? Because Ombo na money.
Okay.
Ombo na money. Ekeni egwari umaloya. Ya woman aloya, uyoya. Ori boya. Now Ombo na money na we ma Ombo we ma collect ego obiyan when we take ayan.
Yes.
Or stay na gwa when Ombo. When Oba Ewuare.
What?
They are deceiving themselves. The modern life now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, do my hair got on Tony. I am boy. All back in your question. Yeah, I'm yeah, I did my money. My bed were refugee and of slaves. Because Otoiro, yeah, for me. Ugbe mo to the amugbo wa emu we bia bia he radie iso o he ke na rie o tejo ya ha mi wo nya ba wa do mugbo do ni o na mugbo e ba egbe ebe bu ngwe ji na rie ya bolu wa le to na ya mugbo we mi ke na azu o re ya bo wa literacy gbi bi edogbe ovien e foreigner mana do mana wo ovien man mana ya sign agreement to be foreigner way of him my affair of him. Yeah, we la denye bia we do ni zua wa mo we ata we na wa ba be senior we be senior we be slave to Oba where we imagine or we no vin where we ata we di won ovien Oba
in the under. Emiya ni violent in the under. And Emiya na where umaloya for your record pass over before. Umaloya nuya we nuya learn. That is umaloya nuya de baya we are go in a the same one of very go na ade ufu abegwa. Brother, you get the way people. What's up one there?
Wakanda wesi mo wa wo
iya waro ya
wakanda wesi wa ni yekiri wato Ogiamie Ogato why here udo ni mi abi ye Italy giagi Oye mi una Oya ini go ya sabu wana wanu oiwa
apartment in Memunia. So we have the second room and now we are one.
Yeah, Sasha.
Is this
school?
Is this school? You read by Shadi Mary safe. You read Shadi Venestra with them.
Venestra. On the by Switzerland.
And you read 2000, at least 2020. Hey, my pet Benny, passive.
Can we do a house with her?
Do I one or two?
Even until you are all decided with ya.
I want to bother Diana. So, when you best, and your Cisco, your mount like a I don't know what we really mount like a movie nation.
But I even be, sir.
I've been 5 years in Cisco.
5 years in phone, but I nearly direct people in happy.
Unless on the requirement you need a school certificate before me, or how many but you have to do it 10 years in it, which is that after that 10 years in the baby school, career passport or equal.
When the 5 years in another win, I hear the 10 years there.
When you know, then we know when you know, understand. Because a document on 5 years now. Yeah, what I know, man, we know. Yeah, Mussolini, your mark composed the 5 years, we are almost to them, understand.
Only the law.
Only the law, because only the 5 years now. Only story of him. No, critical, only no, we get there, we you 1 year, to understand. Government equal, all those kind of people.
You may be able to be a you one, I can't do that. But the way you was very household, though. What you ain't gonna tell you?
Austra. You may be, since it's not a good order, you may.
Am I well of whom? Take it on the.
Oh, no, cabo seriously, you left for Gualuco. Well, no, my balance or Gualuco. On my balance of my mobile, my that we have to take me for ya. Well, I will go tell.
Yeah, you are my video. Yeah, tip within the bouet. You know where the Maria foreign office. Yeah, where Mam, where Mark Nigeria no had to go my bow woman was near when I mean.
Okay.
For the stay for 1 year. This is what I'm saying. About the 1 year, or better than 1 year here, Bunny. Or could they add it? Or I let to the way it is of that, why it is survive.
Only a problem. Any problem. Understand.
What do you boy your toe? What do you boy your toe?
Yeah. And the day you boy by your toe, or straight to marriage, may I will marry you now. The person no one more the Nikkei. You can't be the streets because maybe if women are working documents, so the fear will not pay.
Okay, where is it? Who run that? Duro line,
independent person.
In the year, 1 year, in 1 year. Inu bayari no ma say, inu bayari no ma say, 1 year, inu bayari stop it.
Yeah, stop it. We apply that 10 years. We school when the result in here. So we apply that 10 years in that 10 years document. 0. So we apply here on a hand. But we apply 1 year. Look at why we book how we are the person. Understand?
The language school yellow.
Let the chance to do school that I want to do. I think when I school, understand. I enjoy with the problem.
When we are together, oh yeah, oh I say, Saturday and Sunday me amiable. Amiable. I want one of Victor. You go see what you have any bodo.
A woman may bosses at the young so.
I mean, you go see you was you and you know what I be banning.
I will not ban up way. Ban up way. A packet up way. I only one we have to tell I love it now. One year was stay, you know. So, good boy, we didn't know one. So,
any offense, eh?
One year cafe say, I'm not going to order or work back or one in offense. If I say get again or delay, I'll give you a city.
Are we buying offense or we buying it?
Oh, my first say, oh, my first say. My first say, oh, I'm telling you, poor, can't have a poor animal.
Ia hiyo for the why utagiro do ina ile ati. Oko ya bo wayo do ni bege ni.
Obo wayo do na bege ni. Awole wani awoyi.
O kan ni bege ni go abe ko we.
Awo many other yo ko we cosmetic para any one kan yo ikwe. Many na other yo ko we. Many other yo ko we ne.
Bona mais.
Baba we go make ba wo to o wa e wo ki sha di when me boy e nya we wo la go make ba
ebu na adam yo. Ebu kuma we gu na ti Saturday and Sunday no na ni re ma we ma gu ni we le leta. Bene ati e ba na ekun ni we won akwo ama na gbeso we wa kwezo yo to. Si Saturday and Sunday ti me ni re do mufu. Ni re de okuda na ni ma wa we. Oh, you know what? You don't need the one you no Nigeria or with Nigeria passports. Then only the email or okay, email Nigeria passports. Then all the way.
Yeah, passport is not bad enough. Me you want to we have to go and just that only nine months day.
What is we away? What are we?
Africa shopping. Yeah, we had all the way all the way out here.
Yeah, are you away? Then everybody all trust any are you away? Usual bus about Bona. My.
I don't say, mother there. I say, mother there, be.
Ti me Saturday and Sunday ga gbo. Ni get the met to me we. Ti me Saturday and Sunday na gbo. Won. Ti me Saturday and Sunday won. Get rid that you won't.
No wala.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Bros, good morning.
Well done. What?
No. A discussion with now a private chat. We have your life. That's it.
They don't know what it is.
Oh, the discussion with a cross of participants.
Ouviam banana, ouviam banana. Ouviam Yoruba. Viedo zoou, bicho. E mandei zoou, sei lá. Bona, que viedo que vamos ali no hoje eu zoou, sei. De matar. Oba, what's no boy? We use no boy. I was no boy. We'll give her.